And we have with us today me, Adam, also Vedarth.
And I'm Adam, also Vedarth.
I'm Kevin Ya.
I'm Matt from RC Anime.
And I'm Demolition D. Welcome to the party.
Yes, and the Baron J is here somewhere. But anyways,
He doesn't talk.
No, he doesn't talk much. He's kind of a quiet
the Baron
guy.
J doesn't really talk a lot.
He's
anyways,
known for like his
Adam, shut the fuck up already. So basically, 3 out of the 4 of us will argue again on a topic, and the judge will elect the winner, essentially. And for this one, for starters, our first topic will be pick an anime and will be decide which.
What?
How do we say this?
How do you
wait.
speak English?
Hold on.
How do you
Choose an anime and decide how it gets adapted into a film.
or series.
And argue against
Or series.
and argue against others in saying that your case is better than everyone else. And the judge, whom for
There
the
you go.
first round will be me, will decide who makes the best arguments. It's more about how well you can argue for your answer, and that's essentially the case. So for starters, Kevin, what's your case?
Fun motherfucker, Matt. Why would you do that? Alright, I'd go with Karu no Hyokai. Any of the, except for the 6th one. Well, I haven't seen the 7th one, but why Karu no Hyokai is because it has that gritty feeling where it feels like it could just be adapted into a live action, because nothing really, let's say, anime-esque happens in other horror or thrillers. And I feel like Karu no Hyokai really has this atmosphere that can really engross you into a thrilling feeling. Not as a horror, but more like a mystery thriller, which it is. But yeah, that's my choice so far.
John, what's yours?
All right. So I'm actually really glad I get to say this, because when he said that, it would take an anime, turn it into a film or a series, I was like, oh my God, I've had this like sitting in the back of my head for a long time, because like it's a pipe dream that I just kind of like thought up one day. So my series of choice is Bakano. And the reason why I choose Bakano is because, for one thing, it can be done in 2 ways. You could make a movie of it, which would be great. And you could also make something along the lines of, I would actually really like to see like something along the lines of a Netflix original series where you get the whole thing at once and you can watch the whole thing. However, the catches here are, it has to be directed by one of 2 people. My first choice absolutely has to be Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino directing a Bakano film would be fucking awesome, because it's like 1940s gangsters, bloody as hell, and there's this kind of like mystique behind it, and he knows how to play around well enough with that kind of genre that it would be fucking perfect. My other choice would be Guy Ritchie, because he also does the Sherlock Holmes movies where they do that kind of combat where it's either hand to hand or there's gunfire and things like that, and he does that kind of choreography along with the direction really, really well, and the banter back and forth would be perfect for Bakano. But in that case, I would say Guy Ritchie would probably direct like the Netflix original series of it. Or, I mean, I could see Quentin Tarantino doing it, but he's more of a film guy, so it's kind of up to your interpretation of who would do what.
Okay, that's interesting. I feel like it's pretty obvious that you would go with Guy Ritchie for Bakano, since the opening is essentially Guy Ritchie's Snatch. But yeah, Adam, go ahead. What's yours?
First, I'd just like to say I'm so glad I went last, because I was thinking about doing either Bakano or something else, so...
You should have won Bakano. You could have fucked John over. What were you thinking?
Nah. So I'm gonna go with Your Lie in April.
Don't spoil
you!
it. Don't fucking spoil
Fuck
it.
you, Adam. Fuck you.
no
Okay,
spoilers.
for the people who are listening, I want to be.
No spoilers.
My choice was gonna be Your Lie in April.
Nah, Matt,
Originally,
you're a judge.
before I was
You don't
before I
have
was
an
gonna
opinion.
judge, my choice was gonna be Your Lie in April.
You
And
don't
Adam,
have an-
fuck
you-
you.
you don't
Because
have
the
an
thing is that
opinion,
I
Matt.
told Adam, I've told you what I wanted to do for the Your Lie in April live adaptation.
You
So you
did?
can go. Yes, you can go fuck yourself.
I have no recollection of
Okay,
this.
just say it. Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Oh, okay then.
Oh my God.
Well, Your Lie in April is also like with Baccano, not very anime. Like it doesn't need to be anime. It doesn't need to be Japanese in particular. It's a very sort of a universal story ish. Like it can be told anywhere with any sort of culture slant, and it's still the same story. It still holds up. So in that respect, in that regards, making a Hollywood adaptation of that is therefore very easy. Also, I feel like it could be translated to a movie, a film, rather than a series very well. In fact, over here, it wouldn't really work well as a series because it'd be dragged out way too long. It probably wouldn't do very well. It's too short and small story for that, so it'd be a movie. Um, Also, the story itself would be kept with obviously them still in high school and whatnot. I think they were in middle school actually, but it's going to be high school for the adaptation. And I like that also because not that many good movies come out here anyway with Hollywood that feature high school students, and I feel like that's a perfect story to actually get that genre, if that is a genre, a real good push and get a really good film out there with that. And if done right, it's a very good story. Could have been done better in certain aspects in the anime, and I think those could be expanded upon and done better in the film, and other things that weren't as done well that could just be cut, obviously could be cut. And it's the kind of story that, if done well in film, could even get nominated for an Oscar. And I think that makes it a wonderful wonderful product for adapting into live action.
All right, so I guess one of your arguments for both Adam and John was that the story is universal. It doesn't have to take place. It doesn't have to take place in Japan. But what about Kar no Kyokai, Kevin?
What about Kar no Kyokai?
Like, when you adapt it, and we're
when it's
talking
done
about Hollywood essentially. So, how would you translate it? Would you keep it in Japan and have subtitles? Would you have people speak English in Japan?
No, when you're adapting to Hollywood, you can just have them speaking English. It doesn't have to be. It can be set in Japan, but I feel like really any place, just obviously have the characters speaking English because it's a Hollywood adaptation. But have a director that knows how to let's say induce that heavy atmosphere of the Kar no Kyokai series. Because if you've seen I think it was the second and fourth one, where spoilers. I already forgot her name. Oh my god,
Shiki, something like that.
Was it Shiki? Yeah, I think it was Shiki.
I think it was
La
Shiki.
la 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 la.
Shiki, basically,
La,
yeah.
la, la. I just realized that he's talking about spoilers. Oh god, I haven't seen those movies yet.
Where Shiki is basically becomes a serial killer. You didn't hear that, but I feel like those deaths can actually be done really well. Where you won't actually know who the serial killer is, but you slowly throughout it find out through little hints, and I feel like that could be adapted into a really thrilling mystery.
Well, that's the thing, though, Kevin. Which film are you exactly adapting? Are you mixing the films? Are you adapting a single film? Or are you maybe taking the best parts out of all the films and you try to compile the story together?
Oh, I see.
Because also another thing is that
I
the
see the
Kar no
question.
Kyokai film, it's out of chronological order. So would you follow that same style?
Like movie 2 and 4 are sequels of each other, or movie 4 is sequel to 2. So I would probably take either like 2 and 4 together, or just the first one, because basically they're all a part of the same universe, but in each film or a couple of films, they just hold one story. I feel like that one story just could be adapted into a single film, and sequels for later. But I just think 2 and 4 together into one film would be good for Hollywood.
Okay. And John, you were talking about Baccano, and you mentioned director for it would be Quentin Tarantino. The thing about Quentin Tarantino, though, is that I haven't seen Baccano, so I don't know if this is the case. But Quentin Tarantino's stuff are very dialogue heavy. It's very focused around the dialogue, as you can see in Pulp Fiction and Glorious Bastards. So is Baccano
Right.
driven by the dialogue as well? Like, say the Monogatari series is driven by dialogue. Is Baccano essentially the same, or?
Oh damn it! You just gave me an even better idea. Oh, that would have been perfect. But yeah, no, Bakano is a bit driven by the dialogue and the back and forth between the characters. So I would say, yes, it would work out. But as soon as you said Snatch, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? It is basically pretty much the same. So, I mean, it would also make sense, really, either way.
Yeah, and Adam, what do you have to say? Why do you think your idea is better for Your Lie in April? Fucking stealer.
I didn't know. I don't remember you saying whatever. So, anyways, yeah. Whereas those two ideas are really good ideas, especially the Bakano one. How like amazing or excellent will they be? Will they be do they have the chance to be so great they could be nominated for an Oscar and even bring prestige to anime and anime adaptations in general, therefore making future anime adaptations a more prestigious thing that therefore makes them all better and no more Dragon Ball evolutions? I don't think so.
Well, Adam, I'm gonna stop you there a little bit. The Oscars.
That wasn't the fucking question. What the hell?
The Oscars shouldn't be a legitimate scale in testing how good a film really is. Because how many times do the Oscars get anything right? Last year, Big Hero 6 won Best Animated Feature. Okay.
Details.
I think the main flaw with Adam's argument, not necessarily with Adam's argument, but like with the type of movie it would be. I actually, as a musician, have a big problem with musical movies because 9 times out of 10, they get the performance and the dynamic of the music itself played along with the actors playing it. There's like 2 exceptions to this rule, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. The main character, what's the name of that?
Scott Pilgrim?
Well, no, what's the name of the actor? Michael Cera. Michael Cera actually knows how to play bass, and he had to dumb it down really, really bad for the movie, but all of the playing is 100% accurate. So, and then they get the movies like August Rush, the movie August Rush, where the kid's like just slapping the guitar, and for all we know, he's just making it go like beep, 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 beep. But then they layer in the stuff in the background, but it's not matching what he's playing. That's kind of nitpicky because a person that doesn't play music would not notice that. But for me, that's a big thing with music movies, and especially with something that's as complex as Your Lie in April, where they're playing classical music that's really, really complicated. I think that they wouldn't execute that as well as we would hope.
Okay, well, I'll be honest with you guys. Right now, I'm actually slightly leaning towards Kevin because Kevin has actually explained his idea the most. Because I kind of get the idea of what Kevin's idea is. You guys really haven't explained what the live adaptation for Bakano would look like, or the aesthetic and the feel of it, and how would you condense it, and the same thing with Your Lie in April. I mean, Adam, you just keep on saying that Your Lie in April, it has a chance of winning the Oscars, but that's very ambiguous. That's very arbitrary.
Right. If I were to expand upon the Bakano thing a bit more, honestly, it's a bit difficult because there's so many people that try to do that 1940s gritty gangster style correctly, and it fails very miserably. Like, what was that movie that came out like 2 years ago?
Gangster Squad?
Gangster Squad. Yeah, no. I'm so glad we were on the same page with that. And they nailed the setting correctly, but the rest of it was just bleh. If I were to say, if there were an aesthetic that I would like them to aim at, I actually really liked what they did with the Great Gatsby. When they nailed the setting with the art style, but I mean the rest of the movie was like, oh, this is that book that we'd read in fucking high school. So I would like them to nail that aesthetic, but with the same kind of tone that is the super ultra violent bloody gangster movie that also has some really deep, intense moments. And honestly, like you said, actually, with Quentin Tarantino, his stuff tends to be more dialogue heavy. The action probably, I don't want to say it wouldn't match up because you would need that kind of kinetic style that Guy Ritchie has. So it's kind of a crapshoot between which one you would want, really. I'm actually leaning more towards Kevin's idea. I mean, I hadn't considered those movies as an adaptation to actual live action movies. It honestly makes sense.
I was going to say Baccano would actually, if Baccano done right, would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the matter of nailing down the right director, and like I said, you'd have to find
guys,
the good
I'm
hybrid.
gonna stop you for a second. You're not supposed to help the other person. You're not supposed to say, "Oh, I think the other guy's idea is better." No, you're supposed to. Why are you helping your opponent?
No. I mean, I'm still in my corner, but I'm saying, he also makes some valid points. I'm not saying no, go with Kevin's idea. I'm just saying no. He has some very good points about what he was talking about.
Yeah. So as for what the film adaptation of it would be like, obviously now the show is it's about music. It's has romance in it. It's got the psychological character study, obviously, in the main character, and in like a film, it would keep all those aspects, of course, but I would it would really hammer really focus well on that character, the psychological aspect of the main character's trauma and whatnot, and also better establish the female lead's perspective as well, which could have been a little better done with the show. And also the other characters as well. Like I don't remember the name of the other main guy, but he's not
Watari, the soccer kid.
Yeah, the guy who's not important at all, really. It'd be nice to see a little bit more from him. But for the entire context of the film, he actually may not be that important. But it would. Whereas the music is a very big focus, the psychological aspect is an even just as great, if not bigger, focus. And it would need a director that can really who can really take control of that and really show the play. Someone like maybe Darren Aronofsky, who's great at the whole studies of the characters' minds and whatnot, as he's shown in his films before. Yeah,
Wait, Darren Aronofsky for Your Line April.
Into their mind.
For a drama.
Think about it.
For a drama.
Great. Yeah.
No, it's not. What? Darren Aronofsky for a romantic drama?
He could do it. He was gonna do the Wolverine. He could do it.
What does the Wolverine have to do with Your Line?
That's super light. So if you could do something that's super light.
Okay, if you're talking about Darren Aronofsky making Your Line April, Adam, I'm sorry, but no.
I think it makes sense. You're just being
I'm
biased
sorry.
now. You're being complete biasm.
No, it's not. I love Darren Aronofsky, but that's not his style.
He can make it. It's an adaptation, Matt. It's an adaptation. It's
Your Line
changing.
April is gonna become fucking Black Swan then.
Except it won't be completely like that because he could. Okay, fine.
Someone's gonna fucking end up killing
how
themselves.
about someone else? The problem with this kind of story is that it's the kind of story that can sort of be done by a lot of good directors. It doesn't need someone specific, really. But David O. Russell could probably do it. Other people like that, but the director is not as important
David
here.
O. Russell? You're picking the worst director choices you could. Next thing you're gonna say,
okay, how about the director of Whiplash then? Are you happy now? Are you happy? The director of Whiplash. I don't remember his name. Him. Happy now?
I thought of a director for Baccano that is a perfect mix between Quentin Tarantino and Guy Ritchie. And I don't know how I didn't think of this in the friggin' first place. We know he's had experience doing westerns and sort of kind of period pieces, as evidence with Firefly, things like that, where he tried to mesh the sci-fi genre with the western.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon would be a great director for the Baccano series, actually.
Yeah,
if they were to do
I
that.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't think of that. Literally what he just said, he was going through directors. I was like, who else could do it? And I was listing directors in my head, and I thought of that, and I was like, wait a fucking second, hold on a minute.
Okay, so Kevin, do you have any ideas for which director you would have to remake the Kar no Kyokai films or adapt make a Kar no Kyokai film?
David Fincher.
I was thinking David Fincher too.
Yeah,
it's the most obvious choice.
I know it's no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I mean, we all know he
now-
can do those really thrilling mystery thrillers, and Kar no Kyokai needs that exact feeling.
Yeah. Okay, so Adam, I'm sorry. I want you to help me decide between Kevin and John's, because I would actually watch a David Fincher film of Cardinal Kyokai, and I would watch Joss Whedon direct Baccano. I feel like your idea of Your Lie in April, I don't know. I think you're focusing too heavily on the psychological level, and you may also forget like the beauty behind it, and there's also a lot of simplicity behind it as well. And I think you're trying to complicate things, and I think that would take away from Your Lie in April. Help me and decide John or Kevin. Like,
I mean,
who would you
I'd
watch?
be like a little biased because I know nothing about Kevin's choice. I've never seen any of the movies, whereas at least Baccano I've seen 2 episodes. But just based on that, I'd be obviously more. I prefer the Baccano choice, obviously, just because. But that's biased because I know nothing about the movies really.
All right.
So I don't think I'm the
so
good
you're
person to help
worthless.
with that. Essentially,
I'm sorry, Adam. You can destroy me in the next round when you become judge or whoever. Wait, no, you're not judge next round. Okay, I don't care.
no, it'll be the next podcast. Don't
No,
worry,
please,
I'll remember.
please don't.
You won't forget this.
You should have just came up with a good idea, with a good answer.
Oh, get right.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, so Kevin and John, you guys should fight each other right now.
Like physically,
Like pow,
yeah,
or like
exactly.
Fisticuffs. That's good.
Well, the only other thing that
Do it
I
in
was going to
Smash.
say, if settle it in
Oh,
Smash.
I'll win, mate. I play
The only
competitive.
other thing that I was going to argue, based on target audience, this is the other thing. Who is our target audience in this? Are we going for an American audience? Or are we going for a Japanese?
I thought this was adapted to
all over
Hollywood.
That's
US?
just it's a Hollywood.
Hollywood? Is that
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we're doing? Okay. So when you go for a Hollywood audience, if we're going the super cerebral, dark film route, like say with Kara no Kyokai, you have to be aware of the fact that, especially if the subject matter is a little bit hard to comprehend, although this argument could also go towards Baccano, but I feel like it lies heavily more in the Kara no Kyokai series. The source material, as we know, is very, very dark and somewhat convoluted. So I feel like that's not going to translate as well to an American audience as much as gangsters that found a elixir of life and that continuously like come back to
No,
life.
that's
and shit.
why I said adapt the second and the fourth one only into one film.
Oh, that's right. You
yeah,
did say that.
Not all of it, just the second and fourth
Yeah,
one,
but-
where it's basically it has like some supernatural elements, but other than that, there's no like overarching story that you can see from the second and fourth film. And because of the dark aspect of him, that's why David Fincher is like almost perfect. He can really
Right.
yeah.
Now, the only other thing that I would have to argue would be marketability, because then you've got
You mean who is it aimed
like
by?
I said,
who's it
you're-
aimed to?
who is it aimed at? Is it aimed at the more cerebral, more experienced moviegoer, or are we trying to target every
No,
main
no.
audience? Because Baccano could be easily marketed as a somewhat actiony movie, so it's kind of thrown up in the balance there.
Yeah, I would go with the more cerebral audience, the people who have seen enough films to know.
Right.
Basically, anyone who's seen like
Whereas
David Fincher's
if-
stuff or any of the big ones that he's done.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is that you're targeting fans that are already fans of the work or fans of the director's work. What I'm saying with mine is that, hell, you could like if we were to have a poster for the Kara no Kyokai series and it's just like the main character, it's just like what is going to draw a bigger audience? Now, I'm not speaking from like a Hollywood exec standpoint, but I'm speaking as a like, what would more people like as compared to what would a certain sect of people like?
But wait, this is not the argument.
Yes,
No,
it is.
yeah, it's essentially a part of the argument in
Wait,
why
who would-
his idea
who-
is better, because you'd be targeting a a larger scale of audience, I guess, and
It's
it
also
will like open
keeping,
more people into anime maybe
Also,
that's
keep in
worth
mind that
referencing.
with someone like Josh Whedon attached to Baccano, that's instant, like, millions.
Everybody
Everybody
knows
is
who
going to
that
go
is.
see it
Yeah.
because Avengers. Whereas David Fincher, while very prestigious in film circles, and even now thanks to, like, Gone Girl, Social Network, whatnot, regular people, still not as high, like, everyone's definitely going to go see it immediately, like, with Josh Whedon's name at the moment.
Oh, damn it. You're just, you know what I just realized? You're giving me actually, because I'm a fan of David Fincher's work. You're giving me reason to go see the Kara no Kyokai movies, but this is
You
this is a
haven't
very
seen it?
personal
I thought you've
preference
seen
of
it.
mine.
So
Well, no, not like see the Kara no Kyokai movies, but like to see your hypothetical
okay. So
Kara no
you have
Kyokai
seen
David Fincher movie.
Kara no Kyokai films though.
I'm making my way through them at the moment. The person who would do the soundtrack to the David Fincher Kara no Kyokai movies is one of my favorite recording
Trent
artists.
Reznor.
So, yeah, I was just like, oh, damn it. That's,
Trent Reznor
I would have to pay to
make a great soundtrack for Carno.
I know. I would have to pay to go see that shit. But that, like I said, that's because it's the target audience.
Oh my
of
god,
the,
I just thought
like,
okay. So when you're saying you're getting a bigger audience and you have Joss Whedon for Baccano, it depends really what type of film he's going for. But if he's going for like the Avengers style of movie, like to Baccano, what Baccano is, I feel like if you're trying to get people more into anime, people would take it not as seriously because I mean, Avengers is a fun film, but it's not something like you would say this is what Hollywood is. Like this what makes a well written film. Whereas Carnu,
well, I would actually disagree with that because how many people do you think read the Avengers comics after they went to see the Avengers movie?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's somebody that's got to be like, I wonder if that's how they did that in the books, or I wonder if that's the way the characters would actually interact, and then go in and actually delve into the actual Avengers lore.
I see. I think that not as many people would do that. I think the people who have seen the comic books would then watch the Avengers films, not the other way around.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, how did you get into anime? Did you see an anime adaptation of a manga that you liked, or did you see a manga adaptation of an anime that you? Well, that doesn't typically happen. But did you see a manga and find out that it had an anime adaptation? Because that's what I mean. If Joss Whedon did the Avengers movie and that cues people in and says, "Oh, maybe I should go check out the Avengers comic books," that's driving that source material, is what I'm saying.
I guess I can see it. But what I'm talking with Kara no Kyokai is, since Kara no Kyokai is going to be a more, let's say, a heavy film for more mature audiences, and I mean, if we agree that Kara no Kyokai is going to be pretty well written, people will most likely check out the anime adaptation. Because if they really like what Kara no Kyokai is and want to see the same feeling, they'll probably most likely check out the anime adaptations of the film, which is essentially this.
Right, I would agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying with the director of David Fincher is that, like, he's not exactly a very broadcastable director, like as opposed to Joss Whedon, where you could slap a sticker on the poster that says "From the creator of the Avengers," and they'd be like, "Oh, that's that movie that made a shitload of money. Let's go see that." As opposed to David Fincher, who it's like the guy that did Black Swan, and they're like, "Oh, that did win some awards. I guess I'll go see that at some point. Maybe if it wins awards."
But that's the thing, though. It's like, who are you a fan of? Which director are you more a fan of style to? David Fincher or Joss Whedon?
Well, I would have to say that the American public is probably more of a fan of Joss Whedon than they are of David Fincher.
His things are more easily accessible to all ages than.
And that's what I'm
exactly.
saying.
I don't know. It's
At this
fine.
point, I think, considering arguments, I think John does make the best argument in terms of accessibility and garnering the largest crowd
More
and
audience, yeah.
opening anime to the most people. So I think that's probably the best argument. I mean, personally, I would probably be the most interested in watching the Kara no Kyokai film directed by David Fincher, but that's because I like David Fincher a lot more than Joss Whedon. But looking at it from a third party view, Josh Whedon directing Bakuno is probably the best outcome currently for anime, at least for it to start to grow into the larger majority of the American audience or whatnot, something along the lines of that. So for the first round, yes, John, you win.
Hooray!
Joss Whedon.
Play the victory music.
Dun, 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 dun,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da.
Congratulations.
Play the Evangelion clip. The congratulations. Congratulations.
And they just double over it.
Congratulations.
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 So hey guys, welcome to round 2, where this time it's like a totally different question. Pick an anime that you would choose to adapt into a live action film or series.
That was the first question.
My God.
Did I fuck it up?
My
Did I fuck it up?
It's
God
happened.
damn it. Yeah, that would be a very similar question. No. Pick an anime to adapt into a live action.
You did it
Dude,
again.
oh my god. Pick a live action. No.
Yes.
Is it that one? Yes, pick a
Yes.
live action to adapt into an anime. Fuck's sake. Someone go. Adam, go.
Adam, go, please.
Did he die? He died, didn't he?
Adam.
I'm so sorry, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm so sorry.
Right, okay, film to anime. I think that the best kind of film that could be translated to anime would be one that lends itself better to an anime form than a live action form. And so the film I'm going to choose for that is a film that was like half loved and half hated. And I think the reason for the half hating it is because it's more suited for anime. And that film is Pacific Rim. Right, so obviously Mecha obviously lends itself way better to animation than it does with live action, at least at the moment. Although I commend Guillermo del Toro's job with the movie, I liked it. It would be way better in anime. It just would. And we would get like a better characterization, better characters, probably. It'd be like more accepted in an anime form how the characters were than in live action. And obviously the fights would be way cooler. We'd probably be able to actually see things because they wouldn't have to turn it dark during the rain to like lessen the cost of the CGI, because you don't need to worry about that with anime. So we can actually have some really, really more like awesome fights in the anime. Plus the monsters can be much more imaginable, easier in the anime, I feel, than in live action. And it just lends itself so well to it. Now the obvious it would keep like the same tone and like sort of like the same feel and everything, obviously, but it could be easily like a little more bombastic, but also I feel like a little more like sort of not I don't want to say grounded, but it's like more acceptable because it's animation, and you could just do so much more with that field, especially with an idea like this where giant robots are fighting giant monsters coming from under the ocean in anime. So this is like an superb like idea to have adapted into an anime. It would just work so much better, and it's probably one of the best choices you could come up with. And I will rest my case for now because I need to think about it more to know what else to say.
Matt, you want to go?
Yeah, okay. So my idea is something I'm actually surprised that hasn't been made to an anime yet in any form. Godzilla. Because Godzilla
Giant
is...
monsters again.
Oh God,
What's
that's
everything
true.
giant monsters?
But essentially, the main problem with all of the old Godzilla films is that it still really don't have. I mean, yes, in the 2014 Godzilla, we've kind of made Godzilla look real, but the thing is that, again, it's the same problem with Pacific Rim. In order to save money, most of the fight scenes were in the dark, and also in order to save money, we had only about 10 to 15 minutes of Godzilla in a 2-hour film. Essentially, this is a different case. Also, you will have a longer time. You have more episodes and a longer timeline. You can expand the story, expand the characters, because in order for you to have a Godzilla story, you really need the human element. Because Godzilla isn't a human, it can't talk. So even though Godzilla is the title character, you need the humans to sympathize with when Godzilla is destroying a city or is fighting against a monster in a city. And the thing is that it's also, you don't have to worry about the budget, because anime has proven that it can deal with monsters, such as in Evangelion and in Attack on Titan, and we can make these monsters rather terrifying in a sense. And I think that you can really do an anime, and there have been disaster anime such as Tokyo Magnitude, in which the first 4 episodes of Tokyo Magnitude, where it focuses on the earthquake, are actually very, very thrilling, despite the fact that it's not live action. So I think you can do a lot more with an anime Godzilla than you can do with a live action Godzilla, because you can make the scale feel a lot bigger. And also, Godzilla would take place in Japan, obviously, so you wouldn't have the cultural clash issue. And that's my case so far.
All right. Still both 2 giant monsters. John?
I'm going to go in a vastly different direction. That's not giant monsters. So, my film that I would like to see adapted into a anime adaptation, similar to my first idea, I have a specific studio per se, a specific animation style, and a director that goes along in mind, and it's really just like if I say the name of the director, you know exactly what kind of style I'm going for when I say this, so it'll make a lot of sense. I would like to see Fight Club done by Ken Watanabe. So you have that sort of kinetic style, which also goes along with the films. They go hand in hand. And the narrative would basically lend itself to his writing, and the writing of stuff like Cowboy Bebop very, very, very well.
Shinichiro Watanabe. You said Ken.
Oh, which one did I say?
God
damn it! Yeah, you're right.
Actor.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Ken.
Like Ken.
And I think it's because I was looking at a tweet from Ken earlier. I totally mean the other one. God, now I feel like an idiot. But yeah, no, that's the style that I'm trying to see with this. So it's got that narrative. It's got the music also would very help out for that, because the Chemical Brothers did the Dust Brothers, quote unquote, did the movie soundtrack. But when they go into, if we were to translate that to an anime, something along the same lines, you could easily throw in any of the other Japanese electronic acts, and it would lend itself the same kind of tone. It would work very, very well. Now, on top of that, we'd have some really, really well choreographed and well animated fight scenes, some really well done plot stuff. They might even actually, what they could do is stick more towards the book with the anime adaptation and get a kind of different outcome to it that would surprise the people who have seen Fight Club multiple times, like most people. So I just feel like overall that movie lends itself to that style. Not necessarily like it's totally an anime, but it lends itself to an anime adaptation very, very well. And I could see it happening. And that's my argument on that point.
So with Matt and Adams, it's essentially this almost the same, because they're both giant monsters, and you guys say that it's easier to make and lends itself better in anime, because we all know anime and giant robots or giant monsters anyway work well. But what would be, which one is, why Godzilla and why Pacific Rim, or why would Pacific Rim be better than Godzilla, adapted better than Godzilla, and why would Godzilla be better adapted than Pacific Rim?
Well, I
I'll
think
let you go first, man.
okay, I think Godzilla would be a better adaptation because one thing, Godzilla has a wider range because Pacific Rim is essentially robots fighting monsters, and that's usually done in a very epic scale, and it's like massive action, like or absurd action in a sense because it's just so crazy. I feel like Godzilla you can do a lot more in terms of how the original Godzilla film was meant to be a drama of sorts to remind people of the nuking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and it's supposed to show the horrors of war essentially. So you can have a lot of ideas in nuclear warfare and war on its own, and also so many other themes in the original Godzilla, in which it's the relationship between the people who live in the city and the people who live in the towns, the older generations and the younger generations. There's so many layers of depth in Godzilla, and you have an entire franchise of Godzilla to work off of as well. So you can have an enormous range as opposed to Pacific Rim, which is only one film so far. And also another thing is that Pacific Rim is a live action movie made to be inspired by anime, and the live action film is made to open the American audience into anime. So turning something that was inspired by anime and is supposed to in a way advocate anime back into an anime kind of defeats the purpose.
So while I do see the points there, especially with the last one, I'm gonna have to also before I like get to those, I just want to also add a little bit on to it with studio and stuff because I blanked on that earlier. It would be a series adaptation because I feel like you could do more with a series than a movie. You can expand the story much better, make everything like more detailed, some more characters, I guess, but mostly flesh out the characters you already have and all that stuff. I would have it done by Studio Trigger, going back to their roots with Gurren Lagann. And now imagine Pacific Rim from Studio Trigger. Now that's going to be like a gigantic, bombastic thing. It's going to be amazing. Like, how could it fail? It's going back to what they're good at, so there's no way they could do it bad, because they've already done it good with Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. And you could even say, like,
I can
Ninja
actually
Slayer.
fucking hear the main theme being done by Sawano.
Oh,
like,
God.
I can hear the ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. No, I can totally hear that.
And now to more combat Matt's Godzilla idea. Whereas I see what he's saying, like Godzilla lends itself to more things. Pacific Rim is like a fresh new IP, so it also lends itself, I feel, to more things. Now, just because we didn't see them in the first movie doesn't mean that it doesn't have the potential for more. I feel Studio Trigger could bring it out more. Now, whereas you might think, like, oh, they just do, like, silly fight stuff and whatnot, I feel like they do try to say more. Like, I can delve deeper into both Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill with the themes. Now, they still might be, like, obviously not as deep as you could say get with, let's say, the original Godzilla or something, but they're still there. And you can also embellish it because Pacific Rim is about, like, the entire world, sort of. You can, with a series especially, they can focus on many different areas across the earth, having different cultures and showing how the different people are coping with this disaster, and also having to work together. There's friction between them. Other things like that can be done. I think it's a much easier, a much more interesting idea and stuff, especially with Studio Trigger behind it. It's going to be, like, insane. Now, of course, also, Godzilla being, like, I kind of forgot exactly what you said, and I wanted to, like, say something against it, okay, this is mecha, so, it already has, like, a built-in audience, whereas Godzilla has never been turned into an anime before. And now there's specific, but I mean, like, it's like, you know what I'm saying, like, there's tons of mecha, so this is instantly going to have, like, a huge audience already, and obviously with Studio Trigger doing it,
I actually think otherwise. I think it's because that there's already been so many mecha anime out there, it won't feel fresh. I feel like since there's never been a Godzilla anime, it will feel fresh. And there are a lot of Godzilla fans.
No, you're right. You're right. The problem with that is that... Continue, sorry.
No, it's just... And also, the thing is, Godzilla doesn't have to only be in Japan. If you've watched the other Godzilla films, Godzilla goes to Australia, he goes to America, he's in New York, and he's in Sydney, destroying all over. He's all over the Pacific coast, really doing other, like, crazy stuff. And another thing about the Godzilla thing is that since it's very fresh. I think it will open more people to actually watch anime, because there are a lot of people who love the live action Godzilla films, and if they find out that there's an anime Godzilla and you can have it on such a massive scale that people love, like most people who like Godzilla like the 80s Godzilla films, the 70s Godzilla films, the 90s Godzilla films, where Godzilla is fighting other monsters in the case. Of course, in a TV series, you can have a long running series in which you can have Godzilla first, like be on its own, destroying cities, and then you can introduce more monsters later on for it to fight against. And people will like that a lot. And some of these people haven't been introduced to anime yet, so if they are diehard Godzilla fans, of course they will check out the anime, and if it's good, then they'll be interested in more anime. And if we're talking about studios behind it, I feel that a good studio behind it would be either Bones or Madhouse. Because Madhouse I think will be good because they've worked with Tetsuya Araki before, if I'm correct. And Tetsuya Araki I think would be a great director for the Godzilla film. Or you can also say Bones, whom have dealt with disasters before, because they've made Tokyo Magnitude. And the best part of Tokyo Magnitude were the disaster scenes, because it was fresh. There never was a disaster anime before, and Tokyo Magnitude was the first of its kind, which is why Tokyo Magnitude is notable, and which is why people still talk about it today, even though it was only a mediocre anime. When you go to Pacific Rim, people can say, oh, Evangelion, and a lot of people do actually compare Pacific Rim with Evangelion, whether you like it or not. A lot of people do think Pacific Rim is very similar to Evangelion, or very similar to Gundam. We've seen mechas plenty of times, and there's mecha anime coming out as we speak. There's never been an anime specifically about a giant lizard attacking Tokyo or any other city. And I think you can do a lot with that, because you can focus a lot more on the characters, in a sense. You have a wider range of characters, because in Pacific Rim, you can only really have the characters whom are involved along with the mechas. In Godzilla, you can have the characters involved with the military, with the government, with the people in the city that are being attacked, with their family relatives outside it, and anyone else. Because if Godzilla were to hit anywhere ever, it would be a global event, and a lot of people would be focused in that story, because the thing about Pacific Rim is that it follows humans and mechas. So you're already following human characters. Why would you mainly follow characters whom are not a part of the mechas? That's the thing.
I have a point to bring up about the whole Godzilla thing, actually, if I can interject here. This is not necessarily, I'm not speaking for Japan on a whole here, but Godzilla is a very, very, very Japanese culture thing. Like it's Godzilla. It's something that's like ingrained into their psyche. Now, something's like, I'm trying to draw an analogy for something similar in the States. So let's say something like Spider-Man. Spider-Man in the States, we've got like, 5 movies for it now, and there's going to be a 6th one. So what I want to say here is that how many people are you think going to watch the Godzilla thing because they feel like they're obliged, because they have to, because they're making another Godzilla movie?
Well, this isn't a Godzilla movie. This is a Godzilla anime. It's a whole other medium in which you can handle
Godzilla
the
anime,
character.
a Godzilla production, I should say. It's something that they have so much of already, whereas stuff like Pacific Rim is a new IP, and like a Fight Club thing is kind of unheard of because it's already been done. So it's kind of like, this is a fresh take, or this is a new thing. I agree that your series could be a fresh take on Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, but it's something that is so oversaturated over there. But the same thing also applies to Pacific Rim. It's just the giant robots fighting giant monsters. It's so oversaturated that people might not go towards that as much.
But look back. If you look back at the box office grosses, out of all of the films we've chosen, Godzilla, the most recent Godzilla, made the most money. And even the 1998 Godzilla, which was a terrible film, made the most money. And Godzilla, and people still want more Godzilla. They're making sequels, and people are very excited about it.
Pacific Rim was also a big hit in Japan. And I'd also like to mention that as opposed to like fresh and old, you can't forget about the huge otaku base in Japan that constantly just buy always the same kind of thing, and that's what they do. And so there's always those studios pandering to
And
them.
that is also very
they
true.
would, so like also like you said, Matt, that they would be more likely to do yours than mine because yours is more fresh like that. If anything, according to freshness or not, the greater amount of otakus there are than people who want the new fresh stuff would therefore then go to mine. But I think they go to both of us. But if you're talking about fresh or not, it would at least, I think, be on an equal standing for both of our products because they always want what they want. They don't care if it's fresh or not. They just want, oh, it's more mecha. I love it. Done. Like, oh, monsters fighting.
That does make sense. That does make sense.
So, and
Yes.
whereas
it was just something about the Godzilla IP that it's like, you know, if it were something like an American if American audiences had something very, very similar to Godzilla, like how tired would we be of it yet?
Yeah.
But in the same context, it's very beloved in Japan.
And
so
another like
I may have to
I mean,
And
we have
another
Star
problem-
Trek, which has been saturated
Oh,
for
yeah, like
years
something
and
like
years,
Star Trek
and
or
we're
Star
still making more
Wars,
Star
yeah.
Trek films, and they're
Yeah.
successful.
And another
Sherlock
problem
Holmes
with-
is
yeah.
a character that has been done over and over again. People still love that
Yeah.
character.
very true.
And another problem with the Fight Club idea, anyways, despite like Watanabe doing that, that's great. But the problem with that is that it is Watanabe. He never does very well in Japan. It probably wouldn't be very successful. It might be successful here in America, but the movie's already here in America. So that's like, oh, then
And
like, you know,
I don't-
and it's
yeah.
like, it is like such like a different thing that I don't see it doing as well as like, let's say me or Matt's idea. It's like,
Very
its
true.
own like it would do great critically, but like sales and like viewership and like other such scales wise, not so much, especially if you're factoring like Madhouse doing Matt's or Studio Trigger doing My Pacific Rim. And to combat some of the points that Matt was making about Godzilla versus Pacific Rim, saying there's like more room for more characters and whatnot, you were also talking more about like Godzilla fighting monsters and whatnot, like on a weekly, like a different thing each week, or like every so like after a few episodes, a new whatever. Like however it works like that. How does that also leave room
Not
for like
every,
the character?
and not every episode. There
You
will be
know-
arcs.
You know what
There
I
will
mean?
obviously
like,
be arcs.
Yeah. I'm just but like where does that leave room for like the characters to really develop, and what point do the characters have in something that's about Godzilla like attacking monsters every now and then or whatever that's
The
happening?
whole reason why you need the human element in Godzilla is that you need to feel and to sympathize and empathize with the destruction. If you do not have the humans in a Godzilla film, it would just look like two monsters in the middle of the city fighting each other while they're pushing buildings down. That's not epic. What's epic
Yeah.
is you are with the people whom are witnessing this event. Of course, you're not going to keep on doing this. I mean, how long will the series be? I mean, it will happen
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 times
But
at the
see,
most.
I don't see people getting like as enthralled with that as they will with Pacific Rim. They could be like, yeah, rooting for the people to fight the monsters. Like when I saw it, was like almost wanted to stand up and be like, yeah.
Actually, when I
punch
saw
it or
Pacific
something.
Rim, I was in a theater full of a lot of people, and when I walked out, everyone I knew was not happy with the film. On the
But
other hand, when I
see-
went out to watch Godzilla, there are many moments where, like, especially moments where Godzilla enters the screen, or when Godzilla fires his atomic breath,
laser. or
atomic
whatever.
breath. Everyone cheered.
Well, in my theater actually
Now,
was like a lot of
I've
people
had a
cheering,
very-
too.
And
Yeah.
the thing with, and actually
I
another
had a
thing
very
about Fight
different
Club,
experience
actually-
with that movie,
oh, wait.
actually.
Everyone's talking.
Yeah, do the Fight Club thing first.
Okay. Is that you said you wanted Shinchinero Watanabe to do it, but I personally think Shinchinero Watanabe deserves to do something original. Everything he's done thus far has been original, and I think that's what makes it so great.
Even Kids on the Slope?
Huh? Kids on the Slope, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay.
Zanki
For
no
some reason, I
Terror?
thought Slope was an adaptation. I don't know why.
Slope might have been an adaptation. I'm not sure about that one, but Zanki no Terror and Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, which I think are in a sense, his best made shows. I think if that's the case, is because Watanabe's style is so unique to his own. I feel like if he partook on someone else's work, as say David Fincher, who's an author of himself, I feel that would just conflict. Because one thing Watanabe really likes to do is that he really likes to have genres juxtaposed with polar opposite genres of music tagged along. So if you want to have something like Fight Club, Watanabe, what would he do? Would he put My Little Pony music over it because that's like completely different?
That argument kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, artistically, Watanabe would not.
I know,
put
that was a
Come
joke.
on,
That was a
it.
joke.
Be honest, that'd be amazing.
That would
Yeah.
be amazing. That would be amazing saying that. But what I'm trying to say is just I feel that Watanabe deserves to
No,
make something
I
original.
definitely understand
instead
that,
of
yeah.
being tied to something that's someone else has already made. And also, don't forget, Fight Club is also based on a book, so he'd be working on two source materials.
Very true. Very true. What was I saying before? Oh no, that's right. In regards to the cheering in the theater with Godzilla, I had a very different experience with that movie. The theater that I saw it in, I saw it on the not the night of, not the midnight premiere, but we saw it on the night after, like a 6:30, 7:30 showing with a lot of people in there that were, a lot of them were very obviously fans of the thing. They were wearing t-shirts and crap. And the reviews and things that I got, like hearing people, not necessarily during the movie, but like after the movie, in between, like, it was the things like, are they seriously doing this? Is this what's happening? Things like that. And when we finally got to the atomic blast and things like that, people were like, oh, yay, great. But it was definitely not shoot out of the theater, like stand up and applaud, things like that. Although that is a hyperbole. It was definitely not like...
But then, yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm not exactly a huge fan of 2014's Godzilla film either, exactly. But just because that wasn't amazing, that doesn't mean that... I feel the reason why it wasn't that amazing is because it was restrained by what you can do in live action.
Same thing for mine, just by
Imagine the
way.
atomic
Very true.
breath animated. Because in anime, you can do so much with laser beams and light beams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to live action.
Absolutely.
And you can do... Since it's anime, we can accept certain things more. Because another thing is that since Godzilla is a live action thing, a lot of us maybe still have in our heads that, oh, this can never exist. But if it's an anime, I feel that we can make it as such that people don't have that subconscious idea.
Same thing goes for my idea.
All right. So I'm conflicted between Matt's and Adams because they're similar in a way, but they have different aspects. John's, your one, like, even though I would like to see Fight Club, God damn it, even though I would like to see Fight Club directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, I feel like between David Fincher, it's gonna is it a film, right? The film's gonna be conflicted between their two styles, or he's gonna imitate like a different style that's not suited for the film. Like, because David Fincher's and Watanabe's style are completely different from each other. Watanabe is more bombastic and ecstatic, while David Fincher is more
I don't know if it's gonna work.
more gritty and more
work in my favor.
dialogue heavy. Yeah, I get so, but I don't think those two together to make an adaptation would really work. Will blend well. The Fuhrer wins. I can't. Hail. Now you just need a picture of the hail thing from Hitler. That's your win one. And that's what you need.
All right. Well.
So today's winners, John and Adam. The Asians lose, Matt.
Yep.
God damn it, Matt.
Racism.
It is.
Racism. So much racism.
But you know what? It was you two who gave it to us. So...
Yeah, Matt. What
No, white supremacy. That's why.
White supremacy.
We were forced.
The fuck you talking about, white supremacy? Well,
anyways, that's our show for today. We'll see you next time. This will probably either be a tri-weekly or a monthly podcast.
What the
which
fuck's
we
a
haven't
tri-weekly?
decided, But
What the fuck's a
every 3
Oh,
weeks.
okay. No.
Every 3
okay.
weeks.
I thought you meant tri-weekly, like 3
Yeah.
podcasts each week. I was like, what the?
I know. I was
fuck?
like, what the
No,
fuck?
No.
And we have like a full cast of 6 members, so we'll be rotating through them.
Yes,
through
we
the
are the
podcast.
Roku Ronin, and that means 6 Ronin.
We
So-
are the Roku Ronin.
The Seventh Samurai. Who is the Seventh Samurai?
And
though?
until next time, I'm Adam, the Demolition D.
I'm Kevin Nia. I'm dead.
I'm Marcy Anime. I don't wear 3 jackets anymore.
I am both Adam Vadarth and the Fuhrer, and Baron J is still silent.
Yeah.
Baron J never spoke.
You gonna speak up, buddy?
Thanks for watching.
Come on, man.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Bye-bye.
And we have with us today me, Adam, also Vadarth.
And I'm Adam, also Vadarth.
I'm Kevin Ya.
I'm Matt from RC Anime.
And I'm Demolition D. Welcome to the
Yes,
party.
and the Baron J is here somewhere. But anyways,
He doesn't talk.
No, he doesn't
No.
talk much. He's kind of a
Yeah, the
quiet
Baron
guy.
J doesn't really talk a lot.
He's
but
known
anyways,
for like his
Adam, shut the
voice.
fuck up already. So basically, 3 out of the 4 of us will argue again on a topic, and the judge will elect the winner, essentially. And for this one, for starters, our first topic will be pick an anime and will be decide which.
What?
How do we say this?
How
Wait,
do you
wait.
speak English?
Hold on.
How do you talk?
Choose an anime and decide how it gets adapted into a film
Or series.
And argue against
or series.
and argue against others in saying that your case is better than everyone else. And the judge, whom for
There
the
you go.
first round will be me, will decide who makes the best arguments. It's more about how well you can argue for your answer, and that's essentially the case. So for starters, Kevin, what's your case?
Fun motherfucker, Matt. Why would you do that? All right. I'd go with Karo no Hyokai. Any of the except for the 6th one. Well, I haven't seen the 7th one, but why Karo no Hyokai is because it has that gritty feeling where it feels like it could just be adapted into a live action because nothing really, let's say, anime-esque happens in other horror or thrillers. And I feel like Karo no Hyokai really has this atmosphere that can really engross you into a thrilling feeling. Not as a horror, but more like a mystery thriller, which it is. But yeah, that's my choice so far.
John, what's yours?
All right. So I'm actually really glad I get to say this because when he said that, it would take an anime, turn it into a film or a series, I was like, oh my God, I've had this like sitting in the back of my head for a long time because like it's a pipe dream that I just kind of like thought up one day. So my series of choice is Bakano. And the reason why I choose Bakano is because, for one thing, it can be done in 2 ways. You could make a movie of it, which would be great. And you could also make something along the lines of, I would actually really like to see like something along the lines of a Netflix original series where you get the whole thing at once and you can watch the whole thing. However, the catches here are it has to be directed by one of 2 people. My first choice absolutely has to be Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino directing a Bakano film would be fucking awesome because it's like 1940s gangsters, bloody as hell, and there's this kind of like mystique behind it, and he knows how to play around well enough with that kind of genre that it would be fucking perfect. My other choice would be Guy Ritchie.
Well, Your Lie in April is also like with Bakano. Not very anime, like it doesn't need to be anime, it doesn't need to be Japanese in particular. It's a very sort of a universal story-ish. Like it can be told anywhere with any sort of culture slant, and it's still the same story, so holds up. So in that respect, in that regards, making a Hollywood adaptation of that is therefore very easy. Also, I feel like it could be translated to a movie, a film, rather than a series very well. In fact, over here, it wouldn't really work well as a series because it'd be dragged out way too long. It probably wouldn't do very well. It's too short and small story for that, so it'd be a movie. Also, the story itself would be kept with, obviously, them still in high school and whatnot. I think they were in middle school, actually. But it's going to be high school for the adaptation. And I like that also because not that many good movies come out here anyway with Hollywood that feature high school students. And I feel like that's a perfect story to actually get that genre, if that is a genre, a real good push and get a really good film out there with that. And if done right, it's a very good story. could have been done better in certain aspects in the anime, and I think those could be expanded upon and done better in the film, and other things that weren't as done well that could just be cut, obviously could be cut. And it's the kind of story that, if done well in film, could even get nominated for an Oscar. And I think that makes it a wonderful wonderful product for adapting into live action.
All right, so I guess one of your arguments for both Adam and John was that the story is universal. It doesn't have to take place. It doesn't have to take place in Japan. But what about Kar no Kyokai, Kevin?
What about Kar no Kyokai?
Like, when you adapt it, and we're
when it's
talking
done
about Hollywood essentially. So, how would you translate it? Would you keep it in Japan and have subtitles? Would you have people speak English in Japan?
No, when you're adapting to Hollywood, you can just have them speaking English. It doesn't have to be. It can be set in Japan, but I feel like really any place, just obviously have the characters speaking English because it's a Hollywood adaptation. But have a director that knows how to let's say induce that heavy atmosphere of the Kar no Kyokai series. Because if you've seen I think it was the second and fourth one, where spoilers. I already forgot her name. Oh my god,
Shiki, something like that.
Was it Shiki? Yeah, I think it was Shiki.
I think it was
La
Shiki.
la 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 la.
Shiki,
La,
basically,
la,
yeah.
La, la. I just realized that he's talking about spoilers. Oh god, I haven't seen those movies yet.
Where Shiki is basically becomes a serial killer. You didn't hear that, but I feel like those deaths can actually be done really well. Where you won't.
Because he also does the Sherlock Holmes movies where they do that kind of combat where it's either hand to hand or there's gunfire and things like that. And he does that kind of choreography along with the direction really, really well. And the banter back and forth would be perfect for Bakano. But in that case, I would say Guy Ritchie would probably direct like the Netflix original series of it. Or, I mean, I could see Quentin Tarantino doing it, but he's more of a film guy, so it's kind of up to your interpretation of who would do what.
Okay, that's interesting. I feel like it's pretty obvious that you would go with Guy Ritchie for Bakano, since the opening is essentially Guy Ritchie's Snatch. But yeah, Adam, go ahead. What's yours?
First, I'd just like to say I'm so glad I went last, because I was thinking about doing either Bakano or something else, so...
You should have won Bakano. You could have fucked John over. What were you thinking?
Nah. So I'm gonna go with Your Lie in April.
Don't spoil
you!
it. Don't fucking spoil
Fuck
it.
you, Adam. Fuck you.
no
Okay,
spoilers.
for the people who are listening, I want to be.
No spoilers.
My choice was gonna be Your Lie in April.
Nah,
Originally,
you're a judge.
before I was.
You don't
Before I
have
was
an
gonna
opinion.
judge, my choice was gonna be Your Lie in April.
You
And
don't
Adam,
have an-
fuck
you-
you.
you don't
Because
have
the
an
thing is that
opinion
I
on that.
told Adam, I've told you what I wanted to do for the Your Lie in April live adaptation.
You
So you
did?
can go. Yes, you can go fuck yourself.
I have no recollection of
Okay,
this.
just say it. Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Oh, okay then.
Oh my god.